name is Abe Foster, and I'm joined as per usual by the mysterious man who's just re-emerged, Balthazar Valentine.
Excellent.
And Reagan Harper there as well.
Hello, Abe.
And
how are
yeah, not too bad, man. I've been gallivanting around the UK, going to a few of these gaming conventions. Went to EGX not too long ago, the UK's biggest gaming convention, and I'll probably talk about that in a little bit. But Reagan, you've got some plans to go flying about as well. Tell us about that.
I do, yeah. So in less than 12 hours, I am. So it's not going to be. I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight. But less than 12 hours, I'm flying from Auckland to Tokyo, to Japan. So that's pretty darn exciting. Yeah. I actually just finished packing my bags right before we started recording the show. So it's full excitement mode for me. Yeah.
It's all go. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're taking a sleeping bag with you. That's not usual. That yeah. Sounds... No, so... It does sound a bit...
Let me justify
it. Sounds a bit rough to me,
okay,
man.
Let me justify it. I'm not planning, like, 1 or 2 nights max homeless while I'm there. It's cool. But no, I've got... I don't know. I've got this really small sleeping bag that packs up to, like, this size. It's like the size of a can of soup type thing. And, and a sleeping mat that goes to a similar size, so it's really easy for me just to take that shit everywhere. So I don't know, like, I feel like whenever I travel, even when I go home to my hometown, I take them with me, just because it's like, well, maybe the car will break down and I'll need to just sleep somewhere, you know, like, I don't know, it's just they're so small that I take them. So I'm taking those with me. But no, I do have proper accommodation booked in Japan.
Nice, man. Are you opting for hostels? Are you going for the hotels? Maybe a love hotel?
Yeah. So no, hostels. I couldn't justify the cost of the hotel thing with it just being me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if there's 2 of you on the trip, a hotel is good and it hits a certain kind of efficiency price point. But no, hostels all the way. Which hopefully should be good for sort of meeting some people, because essentially it's 2 weeks over there, and the first week is kind of dedicated to a couple days in Tokyo and then a mate's wedding, and then the second week I don't actually have anything planned, so I'm just going to kind of go where the wind takes me, so to speak, and it's going to be freaking awesome. Yeah.
Nice, man. Hop on the bullet train, check out a few of those Osaka, Kyoto and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. I'm actually particularly excited. The first couple of days I'm in Tokyo, and I'm going to do a bit of sightseeing around Akihabara, the kind of the big video game district in Tokyo. So that's
nice.
That is going to be freaking awesome. Stumbling into dirty manga, anime. What's it called? Hentai dens.
Yeah, the hentai village.
Yeah, and weird basements and things. Balthazar was warning me about this earlier today, so I am primed for that.
Nice,
but
nice.
Yeah,
I came across a little bit of that stuff at EGX. There was some dodgy body pillows and things that were being sold, and I quite enjoyed that stuff.
Were they body pillows or were they just blow up companions?
No, they were body. They were poor man's body pillows. So they were, if there is such a thing, they were long, skinny pillow-shaped pillows, but sort of longer. Longer than a normal pillow, and just had a picture of a scantily clad anime lady on it.
That's the safe side, Abe. If you flip it over, the other side is less clad, then that's...
It's a bit more X-rated on the other side.
Wow.
Nice. Well, good luck on that, man. We'll definitely, hopefully you'll be posting through some updates of wacky, crazy shit that you find over there.
I absolutely will be. So, I'm going to do this for the first time. Follow me on Twitter to keep up with those updates. But they'll probably already be up by the time the podcast goes up. So our timelines are all kinds of messed up. But there'll be updates. I might even do a little bit of filming around Akihabara and kind of just my impressions and do that sort of thing. Maybe don't hold your breath. I might be too carried away with the whole thing to
too hopped up on sake, mate.
Yeah. That's it. Liters.
Are you gonna go do a your stereotypical Japan, go to a karaoke club, get wasted, go to a karaoke club? And...
Very
Find
possibly.
some cheery businessmen to join.
Yeah, probably not when I'm by myself in Tokyo. I could, and I know this is the sort of thing you would end up doing, Abe, but I don't know. I feel like I would need some encouragement, some friends around to do that. When we're in Osaka, then yeah, absolutely, I'll give it a crack. If there are some suited businessmen around who are keen to sing karaoke, I'm all there, totally there. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Balthazar, you've been to Japan. Did you you enjoyed yourself? Obviously, I remember you posting those photos back a wee while back, and I specifically remember you posting the thing about the toad that moved at 60 frames a second.
Unreal.
That was amazing. I can't wait. I've never been, but Japan is like high up on my list of places I want to go. It's just bloody expensive, and it's is it closer to me now that it probably is closer to me now that I live over here than New Zealand, right? Part of Asia,
I think
I
think it's closer to the oceanic region than the European region.
Yeah, I think you'd be looking at sort of maybe this is totally a guess, but maybe like a 15-hour flight or something, and mine's like 10 and a half hours, so direct flight. Man. So yeah. Well,
what this is telling me is we'll have to do a OCG live from Japan at some point.
Yeah, Tokyo Game Show. Let's do it.
Lock
it in.
TGS would be another level. Just watching those conferences is insane enough. So I'd love to go to TGS
next year.
See those Resident Evil 4 music videos and things that they come up with.
Let's do it. God, the chaos. That would be so much fun. Next year, let's do it. Lock it in.
Let's do it. So you guys have actually... I don't know much about this, but you have something to announce, or you've been doing something together. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, so, okay. I don't know how long ago it was. But
about 2 weeks.
All documented.
Oh, no.
It's
it is.
on the podcast. If you care to go back and listen. I don't know what episode it was. Couldn't tell you. Balthazar probably knows, in more detail. But the gist of it was this. An update for Final Fantasy XIV was dropped. And you got this, Abe? You
killed the game.
I'm going with this?
I do remember Balthazar. I remember talking about this. Yes.
And Balthazar spent some time lamenting over
the poor state it left the game in.
Exactly. He was not happy. He was not happy at all.
Yep.
And on the podcast, he said, "I've uninstalled the game," and I quote, or perhaps I paraphrase, "I'm never playing the game again.
I quit."
Ooh.
I quit. Now,
cold turkey.
And I heard him say this, and in the back of my mind, I said to myself, "No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit." And I called him on it, and we placed a bet. And that bet was $20 because I was particularly poor at the time and I couldn't afford the $50 that was originally proposed. $20 that Balthazar would definitely play the game again, and we put the time at the end of this year. And so Balthazar, do you want to just kind of you can pick up from here?
Yeah,
someone's feeling a bit smug.
Yeah, so actually, like, to add more. Just more clarity around the order of events leading up to this. I actually came up to Reagan before. So long story short, I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV again. But before I did, I came up to Reagan at work and I was like, "Hey, that bet that we made. What was the intent behind it?" Because I was ready straight away to concede the money. Because ultimately my understanding, since I was the one who kind of made the terms and we just set an arbitrary date of the end of the year because, it's a long time. My intent behind the bet was to quit the game and not return to it. And after a series of updates had come out that kind of put the game back in a better state and focused more on the stuff that I enjoyed doing that they hadn't been doing for a while, and less on the stuff that they had been doing for a while that I didn't like, I realised that I was going to go back to the game again, and that if the bet was purely make it to the end of the year without playing it, I could do it. But if the intent behind the bet was for me to actually quit the game, I wasn't going to quit. As soon as that arbitrary date was up, I was going to play it again. So at that point, I said, I concede it. I concede it, and I gave him the money before I started playing the game again, because I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go home and reinstall the game and play it tonight. Like, there's no point waiting out anymore. So, yeah.
You essentially paid your subscription to Reagan.
Yeah.
As opposed to Square.
On the record as well, I could have gone to the end of the year. If you had agreed to my original terms of $50, absolutely I would have gone to the end of the year. Because when I went to Reagan, he said, no, I reckon just if you make it to the end of the year, you win.
Yeah, well, that was because, I mean, that was the terms of the bet, right? You can't,
that was how we measured it.
Exactly. Like, you had to have a finite time on it so that it was clear, because otherwise a bet, like, how long is a piece of string?
So I conceded the bet, basically, in good conscience, effectively. I was like, look, I'm cheating the bet if I just go to the end of the year and then as soon as the day's up, start playing again. Like, that wasn't my intent for making the bet. My intent was that if I went to the end of the year without playing, I would have so much to catch up on. It just wouldn't be worth getting into again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bet aside, and, I'll just take it, winner, all of that sort of stuff. There was actually something further to that, and I don't recall this, but that's not surprising because my memory is terrible. Didn't I say that I was going to take that $20 and go to a casino and put it all on red or something like that? Wasn't that was something?
I don't remember that.
One of us was going to put it all on red and the other all on black. I don't know who was. I just said the opposite. You went first, and I said I'd put it on the other one. So,
so that might be something I'll need to do to finish this whole saga. But there you go. So I won the bet. Now, I guess the question would be, what was it that got you back on board with it? So you weren't happy with the original direction it was going in?
Yeah, it was twofold. The reasons for going back were twofold. One was, it had been going in a direction for a while, focused on an element of the game I wasn't too keen on, which was that hardcore progression, where the pure progression mechanic was doing the hardest content to get stronger gear to continue to push the hardest content. Whereas I liked kind of the more casual, dailies and stuff like that, and just playing at my own pace and not feeling like I'd needed to catch up all the time. The other factor was how not good the most recent World of Warcraft expansion was.
Oh, right.
It wasn't that playing that left a void that I wanted to fill or anything. It was more that playing that made me realise how much I did miss a genuinely good MMO. And had me pining for the times when 14 was a good MMO. And then they put another out like that. I went back on the day that they put the second consecutive update out that was focusing on the stuff I liked rather than the stuff I didn't like. Because that was enough for me to see, well, if you've just done 2 consecutive massive content drops purely focused on what I like, then clearly that is still a focus of the development team. So I'm happy to return at that point. Nice. It's kind of like a reward, I guess. Like, it's just practicing what we preach. I voted with my wallet. The game was going in a direction I didn't like, so I cancelled my subscription. They started going back in the direction I like, so I'm paying them again, I'm voting with my wallet. I pay for the content I enjoy. I stop paying when they put out the content I don't enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, man. There's no point in this day and age. There's no point being petty and just being like, you did this thing that I didn't like, even though you fixed it, I'm still not going to support you. Like, if people do good stuff and they learn from their mistakes, shit, yeah, support them, of course. Why wouldn't you?
And I was wrong on that old podcast. Like, again, if we went back and listened to it, I did say something along the lines of, they're so far gone that I don't believe they ever will go back to the stuff that I enjoyed. And that was why I was so certain that I could quit fully. And I was wrong. They listened to the community. They lost a lot of subs over the period of sort of 3-4 months. And so they did go back to how it used to be. So, yeah.
Well done.
So all's good in the hood. You're back on that grind.
Yeah. Back on the dailies.
Nice. Back on the dailies. Well, I'll just talk about what I've been up to, because it feels like I've only been here.
You've been on a grind.
3 and a bit months.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like I've lived about 5 lifetimes in the past sort of 3 months. It's just insane, eh? Like,
that European life.
I'm trying to get to everything. Paris Games Week is coming up, and that's one I'm unfortunately not going to be able to get to because it's just a bit too... See, Europe is good if you book in advance, book your travel in advance, or if you don't care where you're going, because you can get like a £20 flight to, Mallorca on a whim or something like that. But if you actually need to get somewhere and they're having an event, it can be very costly. And unfortunately, the flights to Paris are like 200 quid each way. So not going to be heading to Paris Games Week this year, unfortunately. But I'll try my best for next year. I want to try and do the trifecta, the big three, in that Gamescom, EGX, and Paris Games Week. I'd love to get all those three done. But speaking of that, I did go to EGX. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. So I live in Stirling in Scotland, as you can probably tell. Apologies for the lighting issues. It's 9 in the morning here, and that light is really not the greatest of light sources. I need a little lamp or something. But so I booked myself a Airbnb in Birmingham, where EGX is. I took a train to Glasgow, 40-minute train to Glasgow. Then I took a 7-hour bus from Glasgow to Birmingham. To go to EGX.
7-hour bus ride. Tell me about that.
So
what was that?
Yeah,
like?
so the train to Birmingham from Glasgow was about 3 hours. The train is also about £80 more expensive. The bus cost me £13 return. Oh. So you can see why I took the bus as opposed to the train. But yeah, 7-hour bus ride. So it is what it is, really. I had my Switch, I was playing Hollow Knight, I was quite content. I learned that I haven't had motion sickness for years. And when I went on that, I started reading on my Kindle, and hell no, like I can't do that anymore. I was near the front of the bus too, so it's not like being in the back and being swayed around. It's just I can't hack it for some reason anymore. So
it's not you, it's stagecoaches. They invented the nausea.
They invented road sickness.
You're just a pretender to it. They were born in it, moulded by it.
Yeah. Oh, UK buses are actually like pretty good. Like I paid £13, and it was actually quite a nice bus. And the drivers, the Scottish drivers are a hard case. They crack me up. They're so chilled out, and they're just cracking jokes with everyone. And then you get the when I went down to England and I was riding the bus around Birmingham, oof, they were having none of it. Not a smile to be seen on those bus drivers. So I don't know. I suppose it must be the maybe the long haul drivers are a bit more jovial, or I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah. So I had a Airbnb in EGX, which was great. It was 10 minutes from a major transport link to EGX, because EGX is situated in a giant combined airport train station conference centre.
Okay.
It's called the NEC, and it's basically 40 minutes from central Birmingham, I would say. So I booked my Airbnb about as close as I could get, which was about 20 minutes away from the NEC. So I just walk to the bus every morning and ride the bus for about 20 minutes to half an hour to get to EGX, and that was great. Like it didn't. I think it was like £4. No, it was less than that. £2.80 per bus trip. I remember all those monetary things because it's just like, it feels like tips I can give people if they want to go to these cities. I'm like, oh yeah, the bus from here to here is only £2.80. Like, why
cheap buses in Birmingham, real cheap. Yeah.
Cheap buses. Yeah, I wish I had more time to explore the actual city, but as I mentioned, the NEC is nowhere near the actual city, so I was basically at the NEC the entire time. But EGX is wonderful. I really, really loved EGX. Gamescom was fun, but Gamescom was also nearly just almost too much. There was 500,000 people over 4 days. No one, like, everyone was speaking German, which is fair enough. It's in Germany, I understand that. But I felt like no one wanted to speak English, so I didn't really want to talk to people because I didn't want to be that guy who was just like refusing to speak German or only wanting to speak English.
Yeah,
I think we've lost Balthazar there. He's disappeared.
It's all right. It'll be okay.
He's got some Monty Python style comedy going on. But yeah, no, it was great fun. The best part about EGX, like I played a bunch of AAAs, your regular, your Soul Calibers, your Man of Medan, the Until Dawn guys. Those are all fun. great. Sonic Team Racing, they all had issues, but they were good fun. The best part was the indie res section, because there's these little, it felt a bit like a school science fair. Like there's these tiny little stalls everywhere, and everyone has decorated their own little space with all the cool stuff related to their game. Cool. And you can just go up, chat to them, play their game, pick their brains about why they're doing what they're doing, why they've poured years of their life into making these wee projects. And it's so good. It's so much fun. Met the nicest people. Shout out to a few games in particular. Shout out to Tony Slopes, the team behind that game, Seed Tech and Primeval Games, which is a racer where you just ride various strange objects down a hill. I rode an alligator and a rocket-powered shopping trolley and a blue whale down through their version of Area 51 called Area 52 in the Nevada desert. And I loved it because it's a family team for one, which I thought was fantastic. And then the second thing, when I talked to the sort of guy who was demoing it for me, he said, yep, so the controls are left stick, that's move, and that's all you need. I was like, sweet. That's brilliant. That is all I need, man.
Amazing.
Left stick is move.
No jump mechanic.
It's so great, yeah.
Oh,
no amazing. Jumping, no, just keep it simple. Why not? Like, I had a great time with it. It's pre-alpha, so there's your usual sort of texture pop and stuff like that every now and then. But man, that game's going to be really fun. I can see that would actually be an awesome group stream for us to do. Cool. So I can't wait till that comes out. But yeah, shout out to Tony Slope. Shout out to 3 Minutes to Midnight, which is being made by Scarecrow Studios, which is a classic point-and-click adventure. And you guys remember how excuse the pun, but broken I was when Broken Age came out. I think that's the lowest score I've ever given a video game.
It's one of the first reviews that went up on OCG, I think.
I think it was the first. Yeah, it was the very first.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. 4 out of 10. 4. Man, brutal. But 3 Minutes to Midnight looks to be really good. I like the puzzles. The puzzles had a good internal logic to them. They made sense. It was funny. It was quirky. It was everything I remember from the good old days of Sam and Max and Monkey Island. So really looking forward to that one as well. And then just a little first-person puzzler called Lake Ridden by a Swedish developer called Midnight Hub. So that was fantastic. That was just sort of running around, figuring out puzzles, placing stones in plinths and matching up symbols and things like that, which is all stuff I really enjoy. The thing that caught my attention about that game is when I sat down, the guy handed me a physical notebook and he said, you might want to write things down. I was like, okay, awesome. I'm in all the way here. That's great.
Yeah.
Give me my augmented reality video games. That's fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. I highly recommend if anyone's in Europe or planning on coming to Europe around sort of September or August, September, whenever EGX comes, highly recommend. It's so much fun. It doesn't feel... Gamescom felt a little bit elitist at points. EGX does not. EGX just feels like everyone's on the same playing field. And yeah, just a hell of a good time. So,
sounds like more of a family vibe. Recommend. More of a hang out, talk about games, it's all good type thing.
I think so, yeah. It felt more of a sort of convention for everyone. Gamescom was a bit more like E3, I think. It felt a bit more like that vibe. Whereas EGX would be more like Penny Arcade Expo or, like a really, really cool version of Armageddon sort of thing.
like a good Armageddon.
A good Armageddon, yeah. But yeah, that's EGX. So, I think there's only really one thing we need to talk about that's come out in the last wee while since we've done a podcast. I've played it, Reagan's played it, Balthazar's watched it, and that is Insomniac Spider-Man. I refuse to call it Marvel Spider-Man. It's Insomniac Spider-Man, damn it. They made it. They did a damn good job making that game. It's Insomniac Spider-Man.
Nice.
So, you've finished it, Reagan?
I have finished it, yeah. Well, finished the... I'm not much of a completionist, and so I have not done what it seems like everyone else on the planet has done and platinumed that game. Not done that.
Yeah.
I've finished the main story and done enough to acquire maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of the suits.
Yep.
And that was enough for me, I suppose. But yeah, great game. There's my kind of points are probably pretty straightforward on it. What was your initial impression, Abe? Because you're playing on the PlayStation Pro, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I mean, I love this game. I think it's fantastic. I have qualms with it, but overall they pale in comparison as to how much I enjoyed this game. Just from the opening sequence, it's so damn fun. It hits that tone of the Spider-Man Homecoming film really well. It feels almost like a mashup of that and Spider-Man 2, which I think is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. When it just chucks you out that window, and that's the sort of first... That's your first impression of the game. You know, he gets his toast with his web and does all the sort of zany things that you want from Spider-Man, and then just hops out the window, and that's where you start the game. You're swinging. You're straight away. You're just like falling, free falling.
Yep.
And it just throws you right into it, and then you sort of learn the swinging mechanics on your way to. I think you're going to Aunt May's or Octavius, or I can't remember. It's one of the two, because I remember Spider-Man's always trying to balance these things in his life, right? That's the whole point of Spider-Man. He's always late for things because he's always saving the world and saving people and stuff. But I think the swinging mechanics couldn't be better, to be honest. I think they're absolutely perfect. I think this is the best Spider-Man game ever created. I think it's near Arkham levels of brilliance, and I think Arkham City, I would say, is the best superhero game ever made. Although Arkham Knight, the ending of that, like, nothing tops that. But City overall was better. But Spider-Man is damn close to that. It is so close. I think the story is brilliant. It takes some really interesting swerves, has sort of familiar characters that pop up in new, interesting scenarios, and it's almost cool in that way, because you know the tragic ending for these characters, because you know if you're familiar with Spider-Man lore, I won't spoil anything, but you know these characters and you know what's going to happen to them eventually, and you're sort of waiting for that to happen. And so I think that adds a whole bunch to it. What about you, Reagan? What did you think about the story?
Yeah, so the story was absolutely, I think, for me, the shining gem in this game. It was really well done in terms of, I think for me, the main thing with stories is kind of characters and pacing, and I think the characters were done really well acted, and really, like, as you say, nailed that tone, and the pacing was really well done as well, in that, when you go and see a good superhero movie, there's kind of a couple crescendos and drops in the pace of the plot, and it sort of gives you that impression that you come over that first one, you're like, oh wow, I thought maybe like the movie could have even ended there, and then you get another kind of conflict and crescendo, and then you get the big one right at the end. I felt like this game is the best example I can think of where they took that sort of that flow of a narrative and they did that. There were a few times where I was like, it feels like it's wrapping up. That was a really, really impressive, like, set piece story mission that they just did. And then it's like, nope.
Yeah.
On to the next thing. It just continues to ramp up. It's really well done. The pacing's spot on. Mechanics, as you say, feel really good. The swinging is just great.
It's perfect, isn't it?
It really is.
It's the way in which they've implemented the swinging to be a game in and of itself, fun, is so genius, because you never, like, I get overwhelmed by open worlds, as you know. I didn't get overwhelmed by Spider-Man, not at all, because half the fun is just getting to the objectives. Yeah,
totally. And initially when I first opened the game, I was like, oh, it's Manhattan. Like, it's not a huge area as far as kind of open worlds go, right? Like, there's open world games that are much larger, but I feel like the size of it was kind of perfect in many ways, because it didn't feel overwhelming, as you say. It wasn't like, oh wow, I'm never gonna see the end of this game. It was a playground for Spider-Man, and it gave you enough room to really stretch his legs without being over the top and trying to be this huge open world game like it seems like open world games need to be these days. So they did a good job there. They showed restraint, shall we say.
That being said, it is an open world game, and they did cram it full of sort of busy work.
Yep.
In terms of the backpacks that you collect and the little sort of thug hideouts that you do. But I'll say this, testament to this game. I'm not a huge fan of open world, and not my favourite thing in the world. But I finished everything except the random crimes that pop up in each district. I finished all the rest of it.
Wow.
All of it.
That's impressive.
So there's something to that game.
It is interesting that you bring that up, because that was my biggest qualm with this game, was that point where, I mean, this is not a spoiler. There are towers. There are essentially Ubisoft towers that unlock portions of the map, or unlock the points on the map, and I was a bit let down by that. I felt like they could have. It was almost like that was just what they had done, and maybe they were too far into development at the time, and they just, I don't know. It felt a little bit stink, but then as I kind of got into it, I didn't complete all of these, but as I kind of got into it, I sort of got that there was a sense of fun in those that weren't just completely sort of vapid and empty. There was a sense of fun in them, kind of like if I think back to sort of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or something like that, where you collect all the skate, the skate letters, that sort of thing. It's just collectathon, but there's something really fun about that, because it took the core mechanic of the game, which was creating these lines and that sort of thing, and leveraged it to be fun. Whereas, and I think Spider-Man did the same sort of thing. Like, one of them was you had to catch a bunch of pigeons or something like that, but it was done in a way that meant that you were using the mechanics of the game in a really fun and sometimes quite challenging way. So I think, as far as like having a litathon like that and just all of these things to go and pick up, they still kind of did it quite well. But that would be my main gripe, was just the way that they sort of they just leaned on that a little bit, I suppose.
It's funny that you should mention Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, because I completely agree, and apparently so does Danny O'Dwyer, because he's put out a video recently in which he says the same thing. He says it feels like a Tony Hawk's game, in that you're going around ticking a bunch of stuff off a list, sure, but the mechanics and the sort of implementation of movement is so good and so fun that you don't mind that you're going around doing a laundry list of tasks, sort of thing.
Huh, interesting. So, I'm pleased that Danny and I share an opinion.
I
promise.
Absolutely. Balthazar, you...
Sorry, go.
You watched your partner play through the whole game, or just sort of parts of it, or...?
Most of it.
Most of it. Yeah. Were you... What was your takeaways, man?
Not a great game to watch.
No?
No, it's... Things it did in the story were well done, but it didn't change the fact that a lot of the core progression of the story was copy-pasted from the Arkham series. So, as a spectator, watching, there being very little in the way of variation of how the events played out from how similar events played out in Arkham, made it a predictable journey. And since I wasn't the one playing, I didn't get invested in the character-specific narratives that kind of actually had the impact and the hook.
Right.
So it's not a good spectator game, I would say.
Okay, that's interesting, because I know what you mean about Arkham, because I had the same thing, like, without getting into spoilers, there's a bit with a hallucination, and I was like, oh, this is obviously very Arkham influenced, and it was extremely
there's also the
Arkham
fact
City.
that when you're playing it, you obviously get that fun of swinging through the city and stuff like that, and perhaps the combat is even fun to do when you're playing it, but when you're watching it and it's just 9 waves in a row of beating 10 dudes up, it's extremely tedious.
I could see that, actually.
I'd say it's a game to be played, not to be watched.
Because the combat, I really enjoyed the combat, but I can see that being incredibly boring if you're just watching over someone's shoulder, doing square, L1, R1, throw a manhole cover at someone, which is basically what I did because I love the throwing mechanic in that game. I just throw motorcycles, manhole covers, whatever I can. Just throw everything. It's so much fun.
Oh, that is good stuff.
It's like slapstick comedy when you take someone out with a motorcycle or a man and they just like fly backwards. And you're just like, that dude's dead. Like he's not. Spidey, you did not knock that man out. He's well dead. But yeah, overall I think really good game. Obviously not a great one to spectate. But if you're on pro, I had some graphical issues and things like that. I also didn't have the day one patch installed because my internet obviously is intensely slow. So I wasn't able to install the day one patch. So I did have some graphical glitches and things like that. They might have been patched out, I'm not sure. But frame rate and things like that, spot on. Like no issues with that whatsoever.
Did you guys run into a bug where you'd be swinging along and you'd swing into a building and then you'd swing like inside the building and get trapped in the building?
That happened to me in one of the ending set pieces.
Did the same thing to me, The bit where I don't want to... The bit where
you're on a building. You're on the side of a building fighting someone. And I beat that person and then it came back out and I was inside the building in this like really low textured sort of room. And I was I just restarted checkpoint and it fixed it. But
it happened to me twice where I'd just be swinging along and I'd hit a building and just end up inside it and kind of like and then I just end up in this wireframe box that you just couldn't escape. It was like I was Spider-Man mime running around.
Existential nightmare.
Yeah, big time. Just running around in circles inside a building. It was kind of funny. It ruined a couple missions where I had to like can the mission and go back to it and start it again. But it was early days. I did have the day one patch installed, but that was the only issue I had. It happened twice in an entire playthrough. Other than that, pretty rock solid performance.
Actually, there's one glitch I do. I'll talk about it real briefly because we need to move on to some other things. But like this glitch, I wasn't even mad, like because it was so good. So in Spider-Man, there's sections where you play as someone who's not Spider-Man. I won't say who it is, but I was playing as this person who's not Spider-Man, and I was waiting in line, and I looked at the person in front of me, and they were head to toe covered in denim. I was like, that's pretty... I mean, this is New York, so, whatever, anything goes. Then I looked a bit closer, and their whole body had been rendered as the texture of someone's, like, lower torso. So their head was, like, this pointed denim ass, and their... and not only this, so I looked like I was like, that's pretty weird. And then I looked in front of them. Every other character had become denim people. Every other one, all of them. I walked outside of that line. I got through the line. And
did you like screenshot this or
I have video footage of this on my PlayStation Pro.
Excellent.
I have legit footage of this. So yeah, I walked through the line. I got out. Sort of looking outside because it's one of those missions where it's basically pretty linear. It's a stealthy mission and you can't go out of the area or else you fail. But I could see outside the mission area. Every other NPC in the game had turned into these creepy jean jacket wearing Tim Allen odd creatures, denim nightmare fuel. And they're just sort of like they didn't move. They were sort of like. I think the way they've done something is the clothes are rendered outside of the actual people because there was no flesh inside they were just like a denim, just like as if there was a ghost inside the clothes because you couldn't see any skin or anything like that. But they're just sort of like floating around and it's
that
horrifying.
Sounds amazing. You need to get that footage to us.
I will do that. I will do it. It's a huge size. Like I didn't realize the play because it was rendered at 1080p, and it's like I think I took a video for like 15 minutes, and this thing is massive. So I'll try and transfer that onto a flash drive, and cut it up and put it onto the site and onto our social medias. But yeah, I love that. I was laughing so much during that glitch. Hey, I was just like, this is amazing. I'm not even mad. Do this all you want. This is brilliant.
Just make this the game. Nice.
Props to Insomniac. So we'll move on to the first of our two features. Reagan, you have been trading some games in.
Yes, welcome to EB Games Trade-In Trivia.
Nice. EB Games, for people who don't know, it's essentially the Australasian version of GameStop, owned by the same company. It's just branded differently in New Zealand. And
if you've been in the UK for longer than like 10 years, it was EB Games until recently.
Oh, is that right?
Well, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Right, well,
Okay, cool.
Still a thing in New Zealand, and like we give EB Games a lot of crap.
We do, and
you know,
deservedly.
And deservedly, there are some dodgy practices that happen at EB Games. However, recently I sometimes you just get this desire to go and buy a game, and I had that desire and decided I wanted to get Monster Hunter World, and had a look on Steam, and it was an obscene price on Steam. It was like 104 New Zealand dollars for a PC copy. So I was not going to pay that, and so I decided to go down to the local electronics boutique. And I took a bunch of games with me, and I traded in a bunch of games. Now, what I think I'll probably do here is we'll just go through them one at a time. The game is essentially going to be that I'm going to read out the game, and then you'll tell me your best guess at what I received for that game in terms of trade value. Does that make sense?
That sounds good.
Okay, excellent. So here we go. First game that I traded in, these are all PS4 games, by the way, was Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, the first of those two games.
Shadow of Mordor.
The original.
Ooh, that's a good one to start off with, man. They're going to lowball you on that. That's an old game.
$7.
Okay, I'm going to say... I'll go a bit higher. I'll say 11.
Okay. I'll keep a tally just to make this a real game. So, so that one there, Balthazar said $7. I got $6.75.
Wow, man!
So
you can get like a pretty like rough combo at Macca's for that.
Yep. So, no,
like one of the dumb ones.
There are some surprises in here. So this is the reason why I'm doing this game, because there are some sleepers. So the next game that I traded in is PS4 copy of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So Assassin's Creed London is that one. What did I receive?
When was that released? Was that like 6? No.
Well, it was the
16?
It was the last one before they took their break, right? I think.
Before Origins.
Yeah.
And Origins was last year.
So.
And they took a 2-year break from that.
Yeah, a number of years ago.
2015, maybe.
Yeah. So what did I receive for that?
Syndicate. I'll say a bit more for that, just because it's a bit more. It's a more well-known franchise than Shadow of Mordor or Middle-earth. I'll say $14.
$14. Okay, Balthazar.
$9.23.
Holy shit!
So specific.
Okay, for Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I received $9.45.
Oh man, nice.
2 points to Balthazar. It's been very close.
I'm giving them way too much credit here. I'm going to have to go down about $5 with everything.
Here's the tip, Abe. If you want to go more than double digits, it's got to be some game from Japan that they've never actually stocked. That's pretty much the rule behind it.
Okay. Next game, Mass Effect Andromeda on PS4.
Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Is this going to be a No Man's Sky deal where they gave me, what was it, $4? I remember trading in at JB Hi-Fi and they gave me $4 for No Man's Sky. Andromeda,
the prototypical buggy release.
$7.
$7. Balthazar?
Yeah,
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda's an odd one.
It's weird. There's so many factors that go into it, eh?
Yeah.
There are. I'm gonna say $8.
Ooh.
So Abe,
Price is right at me.
Abe, what did you say? $7.
$7, yeah.
$7. So for Mass Effect Andromeda, I received $12.15.
What?
Yeah.
That's the most expensive one so far.
So far, that's the highest price.
Massive.
That was
that's bizarre.
Yeah, there was some thinking behind that. I didn't want to just $1 up you, Abe, but I didn't want to go into double digits, but I had a sneaky suspicion it was going to be one of the weird ones.
Yep. Excellent. So it turns out Mass Effect Andromeda, somewhat sought after, I suppose. Next game. I actually kind of, I don't know why I traded this one in, because this is kind of a PS4 classic. Infamous Second Son.
Ooh.
PS4 release title, I believe, or very close to it. So Infamous Second Son. Good game. But I decided I'd never play it again. What did I receive for Infamous Second Son on PS4?
It's going to be a low one.
$6.50.
Okay, $6.50 from Abe.
$6.50.
I'm thinking lower. But it's one of those ones, I want to say something like $4.50, maybe $5, but also I don't want to... I'm the sort of person who, if you offered me $5 for a game, I'd say, now, just keep it, you know?
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to go with it, $5, yeah.
$5, okay. For Infamous Second Son, I received $6.75. So
yes! Yes!
That's
so
good.
close.
Yep, so Abe's got
man,
that one.
if Sucker Punch hears this, man, they're going to be absolutely livid beside themselves.
Yeah,
not happy about that. Just out of interest too, Mass Effect Andromeda currently going from EV Games for $32.
Oh yeah, so just a little over double the price of what they gave me for it. I mean, you're running a business, right? You got to run a business.
Just a 201% markup. That's all.
Now here we're getting into some interesting territory now. So the next game that I traded in was a copy of Battlefield 1.
Oh,
Battlefield 1.
So interesting. Oh, I think they're going to lowball the crap out of you on that because it's Battlefield 5, right? Is the new one? Is the newest one? It's not out yet, but it's coming out. Yeah.
Battlefield 1 2.
Battlefield 1 2. Battlefield 12. Yeah. I think Battlefield 5 is because it's coming out around the same time as COD, and that usually come around in November. So, Battlefield 1, man, it'll be a high one, but that being said, it'll be about $17.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
You're giving them some credit.
Try to stay
$9.
Sorry?
$9.
$9. Oh, Balthazar. $9.45 is what they gave me for Battlefield 1.
$9. That's like... Yeah, that's like a decent lunch. Well, that's like some noodles and a drink.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Brutal.
Moving right along. Now, this is... this is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one. I guess it's worth considering the rarity of this game. A PlayStation 4 copy of Dirt Rally.
It was funny. I was just looking at... I was watching your Dirt Rally review the other day, Reagan, actually.
Oh, nice.
Which you can find at overcastgamer.com/reviews.
Yeah.
Dirt Rally.
So this... Keep in mind, this wouldn't have been a popular game when it released. Not many people would own this game.
13.
I'm going to go $10.20.
Ooh, okay. Now, prepare yourselves for this.
23.
For a copy of Dirt Rally on PlayStation 4, Electronics Boutique, New Zealand, gave me $36.45.
Whoa, what the... Hang on, there's no there's no method to this madness, is there? Like,
they must have some algorithm that determines like how many they receive back, and then that changes the the equation. But yes, $36.45.
Man, shout out to Codemasters.
Yes,
they're doing the best so far.
That is a fucking excellent game. The only reason I traded it in is because I have a copy on PC also, and the PC obviously vastly outperforms the PlayStation version. Moving on. Same situation here. I have this on PC. Again, PC vastly outperforms it on PS4. A copy of The Witcher 3.
Oh man, that hurt my heart just to hear that, Reagan. It really did. Like, I had a visceral reaction to that.
I still have my PS4 copy, even though I have it on PC as well. I just couldn't get rid of the physical case.
Good.
Sitting there.
Just keep the slipcover. Just keep the slipcover at least.
I'm a bad person. But
I don't think you would have got much for it. Which
I want to. Is it Game of the Year edition?
It was no. It was vanilla. It was like purchased day one, so it was just the
$6.45.
Oh man, I really hope it's above $10 at least. Like,
I do as well, but they're giving it away for free now, so you know.
Yeah, they have kind of diminished the value of their own product a wee bit, haven't they? I'm gonna stay chipper and go $12.
Well, you'll both be pleased to hear then that for The Witcher 3 on PS4, I received $20.25.
Yes,
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good, eh?
Oh man, that's yes. Thank God. Thank God you got $20 for one of the best video games ever made.
Yep. So thanks, EB Games, for that. Now, so we've got 2 games left on the list. I've stopped counting the scores. Who got that one?
I've got Witcher.
I've got that one. Did we do Dirt Rally? Yeah. Who scored highest on Dirt Rally? Who said the highest number?
It's usually Balthazar. I think
it was me on that one.
Destroying me. Yeah.
I mean, it's just very important to know who wins. Okay. Wow. Okay. A PS4 copy of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The original and the reboot series.
Shadow of... Now, do you guys think this would have diminished in value with... Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
That's the most recent one, right?
Is it? I thought that was
Isn't
the...
it? No, because Rise of the Tomb Raider...
Yeah, Shadow's the most recent.
Shadow's the most recent one. So, do you mean Rise of the Tomb Raider?
No, I mean Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, so you sold the one that came out like a couple of months ago, or last month or something?
No. I've had this game for a long time. Ooh, I see what might have happened here.
Oh, did you get the price for Shadow? Did you?
Maybe I did.
Nice.
I thought
that's really recent, so I'd say you're probably up around $30 again for that one.
Man, that's awesome. Good on you, Reagan. Good, whatever you did there, good on you. You swindled them, good.
I know how that happened too, but I'll talk about that shortly. So, okay. Balthazar said $30?
Around the 30 mark, maybe a bit more. 30.
So they are looking at
$31.
I'm gonna say 36.
36. For my copy of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which wasn't a copy of Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
It's Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, it was. $54.
Nice,
wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. That's
really new. It's like less than a month old, I think, isn't it?
That sort of like healed my heart from The Witcher 3. Like that, yeah. I'm so glad to hear that you got one over on them, completely unintentionally.
Yeah. I can't remember who got that one. But anyway, last game.
Abe got that one.
I was 36. Cool, nice.
Yeah, cool. Last game on the list. $50, man. Last game on the list, Watch Dogs 2.
You'll get jack shit for this. This game performed incredibly poorly. It's great game, but it performed so bad. Oh man, Watch Dogs 2.
No, I'm going to be a bit more generous. $7.50.
$7.50 from Balthazar.
I'll go $9.75.
Balthazar gets... Oh, sorry. Abe gets that one. For Watch Dogs 2, I got $14.85. So
Not bad. Not bad.
Weird.
Now
that is weird.
That's odd because it's not new or rare. I see it in there secondhand all the time.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So just the crazy thing about this whole thing was that I went in there, I traded all of these games in, I then pre-ordered the only game I would have thought of pre-ordering, Red Dead Redemption 2. Which gave me an extra bonus on what I received, and all up, I got $170 for trading in those games.
How many games was that, Reagan?
That was 1,
9
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 games. 9 games.
Couldn't even get you a second-hand Wii U.
Yeah. I thought that was great, man, because then I got Monster Hunter World for $89, which was still quite expensive, but for nothing. And then paid off most, $73 worth of my pre-order of Red Dead Redemption 2. I thought that was a pretty good
deal.
Paid
off my mortgage on Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap this up, really quickly, let me tell you my theory on Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I'm excited.
So, hopefully, EB Games doesn't come knocking. That copy of Rise of the Tomb Raider that I bought online, and it was not a New Zealand copy of that game. It was from Japan, but it was it was an English version from Japan, I think, is what it was.
Okay.
So the control scheme was all backwards. So like X, cross, and
X
circle were around
circle.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
But and the dude that served me at EB Games was new. He had to ask a couple questions as he did this process. And when he got to that game, he scanned it, and he scanned it again, and then he typed it out on the computer. So he clearly didn't look very hard at what copy of what game it was, and he went Tomb Raider, and it went Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and he just chose that one. I think that's what happened. So
that's
basically,
amazing.
Through sheer luck, at the till at Electronics Boutique New Zealand, I got a whole bunch of extra moolah for a copy of Shadow of the Tomb Raider that was actually Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I love that there's like, it's testament to this that we couldn't figure out which game was the most recent one and which game was the middle.
Yeah.
Apart from the one just called Tomb Raider in 2013, the other two sequels were like, it's the same thing with the Planet of the Apes films, right? I'm always like, Dawn, Rise.
Yeah.
But Dawn is the second one. Yeah, Dawn is the second one, I think. It's insane. It's insane. But
but there you go.
That's fantastic, Reagan.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear you've got your Red Dead. As much as I don't like pre-orders, I'm glad to hear that these games were able to afford you something that looks to be
exactly like if there's any game that I'm going to be pre-ordering because I know that I'm going to get it. Like it's one of those
totally
facts of nature.
It's
Red Dead Redemption. So yeah, there you go. This has been an episode of EB Games Trade and Trivia at OCG.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I think that probably just wraps us up for another show. It's a wee bit of a short one because we've got to let Reagan get some sleep before he flies over to the great land of Japan. So, as per usual, you can find all of our stuff overcastgamer.com. That's our sort of central hub for everything. You can follow us on Twitter, Overcast Gamer. We're on Facebook, Overcast Gamer. We do streams, twitch.tv/OvercastGamerNZ, and we're also on YouTube, Overcast Gamer. Main thing is just /Overcast Gamer. We're basically on everything that people are generally on. So go check us out if you'd like. Reagan, you won't be doing your Final Fantasy stream, unfortunately, because you'll be.
No, I won't. But I mean, if either of you guys feel like picking up the mantle as far as the Wednesday night streams, go right on ahead. But no, I won't be doing it this week. But yeah,
if people enjoy PowerPoint presentations, I can probably do a stream. But otherwise, Balthazar is probably going to be you, because my streams are not going to be anywhere near palatable. So, yeah, it's going to be one of you guys. But thanks again for joining us, everyone. As per usual, we're Overcast Gamer. This is the Overcast Gamer Show, and we try and do one of these every fortnight. Sometimes it's a little bit later than that, but once Reagan's back, we're going to try and get back on schedule. So check us out. Overcast Gamer, as I mentioned, we're on iTunes. This is on iTunes. This is on Pocket Casts, all your podcast aggregators. And we will catch you again in 2 weeks. Any parting words, fellas?
Not particularly, but I hopefully will see you when I return from Japan.
Nice.
See
you later.